Hello, and welcome to our question of the week. This week's question relates to the Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage. We often present the Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage the week before planned discharge. The assistant, LPTA or LPN, usually provides the notice and enters the effective date as the date that the last visit is showing as scheduled in our EMR. Oftentimes, the actual visit date changes to another day during the week, either due to scheduling conflicts or patient request. How should this be handled? If the discharge occurs after the documented effective date on the form, should we revise the effective date, initial and document the reason, and give the patient an updated copy, or just leave it as is since the patient was actually given a longer period of time to appeal? If the discharge occurs earlier than the anticipated effective date, as long as there has been at least a 2-day notice, do we document the reason for discharge and hold billing for at least 2 days after discharge to give the patient time to appeal? I was thinking that years ago, when the Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage first started, we were told to do that, but I'm not sure what the requirement is at this time. At what point should we get a new Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage signed if the discharge extends beyond the initially planned effective date? This week's question is answered by Jennifer Osburn, a clinical consultant here at HPS. The answer is as follows. Ideally, the supervising RN or PT and the LPN or PTA would be communicating weekly regarding their schedule and visits so that an accurate DC date is noted on the Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage. However, CMS states the following regarding amending the date of the Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage. If the initial Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage was delivered to a beneficiary and the effective date was changed, the provider may amend the notice to reflect the new date. The newer effective date may not be earlier than the effective date of the original notice except in those cases involving the abrupt end of services, as discussed in 260.3.4. The beneficiary must be verbally notified as soon as possible after the provider is aware of the change. The amended Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage must be delivered or mailed to the beneficiary and a copy retained in the beneficiary's file. If an expedited determination is already in progress, the provider must immediately notify the QIO of the change and provide an amended notice to the QIO. Additional information about Notice of Medicare Non-Coverage can be found in the Medicare Claims Processing Manual, Chapter 30, Financial Liability Protections, Section 260.3. A link has been provided in the description. Do you have a question for our clinical consultants? Join our HPS Alliance. For more information, visit healthcareprovidersolutions.com/HPS Alliance. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our videos so that you don't miss future questions of the week, Monday Minutes with Melinda, and more.